Hi, I'm George Pearson, and these are just a few examples from some of the training videos I have here on YouTube. Now, when you're working with the training, following along the training, if you want to get the materials I used in the training, just go to the description down below and click on the link that's at the top of the description, and this will take you to a page where you can download the materials. Please subscribe, click the like button, and of course always share on Facebook, Twitter, or wherever. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the video. In this Photoshop Elements video, I'm going to show you how to make animated GIFs inside of the Photoshop Elements program. Now, it's pretty straightforward, but you need to know a few tricks in order to make this work. We'll be looking at how to do these two. This is just a variation on this one up here. This is the inner circle on this, and then I added two more loops on that. So, real easy to make as long as you understand the process to go through. Let's just go ahead and get these out of the way here. Now, the basic file that you'll need is going to be set up kind of like this as an in-between stage. Notice that I have several sections here. Here is one section, background, my sphere, and then the ring. Here's another section, background, sphere, and the ring. And then another section, background, sphere, and the ring. Now on all of these, each one of these sections is going to become a single combined layer. And the reason for that is the way that Photoshop Elements exports to the animated GIF format. Right now, we have all of these different layers in here. I can show you what happens if I use this or export this. And the export function over here is under Save for Web and GIF, of course. And then right down here it says Animate. Now I'm showing you this inside of Photoshop Elements 13, and here's the animation options right down here. Some earlier versions of Photoshop Elements didn't have the frame delay option, but it did have the looping option. I'll set this to loop forever. I'll leave the frame delay at 0.2 of a second and click the play button, and you can see the animation in there. Notice that it's showing every single layer inside of my file. So every layer becomes a frame in the animation. If you want to have multiple things, you're going to have copies of your multiple layers. That's why we have all these duplicates in here. I'll show you how to actually make this. We'll be making this same file in just a little bit, but I'm just getting you to understand the process. So when this is going to be going for a final output, what you'll have to do is you'll have to take these layers, and what I did was I first made down here the background layer. That's easy, just fill a background layer with black, no problem. I then made my shape, no problem again. Then I made the ring for that shape. Let me just hide everything else. We'll leave just that bottom set as I talk you through the process here, and we'll then go ahead and demonstrate that. Okay, just moving on up, and I'm just hiding all of these layers. We have just the first basic layer. There we go. That's our basic layer setup, our first frame down here. So background, the center image which stays the same, and then the ring which changes. Now all the rest of these, I just copy the background up to here, copy the background up to here, copy the background, etc. Same thing with this layer. I just simply copied it and continued on up my list. The only thing I'm changing is the only thing that's animated, and that's the ring. Once all of this is done, I then go back and collapse all these down. So you simply select your set, right click, and merge layers. And then we'll do the same for the rest of these layers in here. Let me just show all of these. Select that set, right click, and merge layers. Go to our next set up here. Select those. There we go. Right click, merge layers, just off screen down there. And then select this set, right click, merge layers. So you can see what I'm doing is I am collapsing these so that each one of these changes is on its own layer. Each layer contains the full frame at that point. Okay, we're almost done here. Once this is done, we'll then go back and take a look at the Save for Web, and you'll see the difference on this. Okay, let's just show all of those. Right click and merge layers. There we go. Now let's go back to the Save for Web. We're still on the GIF file format, animate, and let's play this. And there you go. That was just once through. Let's go ahead and do that forever and loop. It's kind of a slow spin right now, but you can see it's now playing each one of these as an individual frame. So everything on a layer becomes a frame of your animation, and that's the whole key on this. Each frame is shown separately. Let's say you wanted to have text down here, like spinning planet or something. You wanted that to be shown the whole time. Just like this circle in here, this blue planet, you'll have to have that text on every single one of these frames. So it has to be included. Everything you want on each frame has to be on that one layer. Okay, now that we understand the process, let's now go ahead and take a look at how we can create this. It's really very straightforward. File New, blank file. I have mine set to 200 by 200. It's at a resolution of 72 pixels per inch, which is what you want for the internet. Choose OK, and there we go. I'm just going to, we'll just minimize that down and get that out of the way. And I'll zoom in one click, so we're looking at 200% up here, so it's a pretty good size. So this is the actual size in here. That's the actual finished size, but we'll zoom in one click. All right, step one, fine. Let's now fill this with black. So go to the paint bucket, click in there, and we have our black background. That's the first of the layers for our frame. Next, I want to have my circle in here. Now I'm going to pull in some guidelines in here to 100 and 100. That gives me my center point. Now I have my ruler set at pixels. If you right click, you can see that it's set at pixels right there. And I want to have pixels at every 20 in here, every 20 steps. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 of course, 120, 140, 160, 180. Let's get those exact, and we'll do that with the View menu and New Guide. Vertical, set the first one at 20, choose OK, there it is. Okay, we'll just continue on through and do this for each one of our positions. And this is going to be 60. Next one's going to be 80, and so forth. There we go. That's our first half. Let's do our second half over here. New Guide. Next one is 120. You can see it right up there. We already have the 100. That just snapped to the center of the page. That was easy. Okay, 140, and then 160 and 180. And we'll have our vertical guidelines taken care of. There we are. Now I want to put in the horizontal guidelines, same numbering though, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 for your center point, 120, 140, 160, and 180. That will give us a grid at 20 pixels each. We'll be using that to measure the positioning of our elements. Okay, New Guide, set this to horizontal, and the first one is at 20. There we go, and we'll just work on through this and get all of our new guides in position. Now the reason I'm using this new guide here instead of just kind of dragging it down is that this guarantees that I get the guides at exactly the spot that I want them. I'm not trying to guess on what it should be at. Just much easier. It takes a little bit longer maybe, but they are at exactly the right position, which is what you want to have on this. Okay, last one up here, New Guide. And I hit the wrong number there, no problem. We'll just do that again. And there we go, 180. Okay, there's the guides. Let's now put the circle right in the middle in here. Grab the ellipse tool. I'm going to set my color here to white so we can see this thing. And have it drawing from center. You'll come into our center point right there. Hold the Shift key down so it gives you a perfect circle. And just pull that out. I'm going to let it snap onto those guides right there. So there's my white circle. Let's now give this that nice gradient in there. And we're going to be using the gradient tool. Right click on this layer and simplify the layer. Then hold the Control key down and click on the image, and that's going to select that circle. Let's now set up our foreground and background colors. For this, come down here, see that kind of light blue band right there? Click in the light blue band and then choose right up here, top middle, just like that. Let's go to our background color, click on the background right here, and then come right into the middle of the blues, which is right about here, and come down about halfway down, a little more maybe on the right hand side. That's our dark color. Click on the gradient, and your first spot up here should be foreground to background. That's our light blue to dark blue, and that's perfect. Now I want to have this set at radial, and then we're going to be clicking up in here and pulling it down to about here, just like that, and that gives you that nice kind of sphere effect. We can now deselect. I'm going to hide those guys just for a second. Let's go ahead and hide our guides, uncheck that, and there we go, there's that sphere. Now if I zoom out one touch, there it is, the finished sphere and finished size. Okay, let's bring our guides back up. There we go. Now I want to have that circle in here. And let's hide this background for a second. There we go. The circle is just a shape. Come down here to your graphics, and we'll scroll down on the graphics, and we have some circles down here just a little ways. I'm using the wheel on my mouse right now to scroll. There we go, some circles. Grab that one right there, double click on that, and it gives you a circle right in the middle right there. Now I'm going to pull these out a bit, and we can get a larger circle this way. If you want in a little bit, just go ahead and pull those in a touch, and you can make a little bit of a smaller circle. Now I have mine just about halfway, as you can see here, halfway between those guidelines. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. And you can see precisely where that is based upon that checkerboard pattern, kind of match that checkerboard pattern in there. But just get, so it's kind of about halfway in here on these guidelines. And that looks pretty good. So here's our basic circle. Now, let's give this some interest. So it's more of an interesting kind of a object. And I'll do that with our effects. Let's switch over to the effects. And I have this down here at Wow Chrome under Styles. There we go, Styles, Wow Chrome right there. And I use the bottom one here. Double click on that. Now notice that this has a drop shadow on there. I don't want that drop shadow. I want the rest of this kind of a chrome look, but I don't want that drop shadow. We can get rid of that by going up here to the layer style settings, and just uncheck drop shadow and leave the bevel on there. Choose OK. And there we go. There's our ring. Let's now go back to our layer, bring our background back in again, and there's that nice ring. Okay, at this point I'm going to hide the guys just for a second. Let's just take a look at that. I think I'll move it to the right just a touch. There we go. I just used my arrow key to move it over to just a touch. We now need to have several copies of this ring, and we're going to be changing the sizes of that ring. Let's bring our guide back in again. Here's where our guides come in. So take this. This is our first shape. You can leave this as a shape. That doesn't matter at this point. Pull it up here to the new layer button. Here's our copy. Now I want to grab these edges and I want to pull these in until it snaps onto those guidelines, just like that. And choose OK. Let's now hide this one. There's that second one. Let's take this, drag it up here. It's another copy. Grab the, get that out of the way, there we go. Grab the control handle in there and go to the next guideline, and then snap onto that guideline and choose OK. There's our next circle. Let's hide that one. Make a copy of this one. There we go. There's our copy. And on this one, drag it in until you hit that center line. It's not going to collapse all the way down. It's going to come close. I'm going to hide the other one. You see it's just a little bit above. I'm just zoom in so you can see that. It's a little bit above. So using the arrow keys or cursor keys just bring that down to the center. It doesn't have to be exact, but approximately the center. That's a bit better. Okay, so that's our first set. That's getting smaller. I now want to get larger on this. This is the easier part. Grab this one, copy it. There we go. Come down, grab the next one, which is this one. Copy that and pull that to the top. Come down to our next one, which is right here. Grab this, copy it, and pull it to the top. And then our last one down here. Grab that and copy it and pull it to the top. Okay, that's all of our circles. And right here is the very first circle. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to double click on where it says background. Choose OK. That makes it into a regular layer. Let's take this circle and move it down to the very bottom. That's my first reference circle. We don't need to have that one any longer at this point. We're all set. So we have our circle, and then it gets smaller, real thin, and then it gets wider again, and then it will loop back around to our first circle up there. Okay, let's just zoom back out just a little bit here. So far so good. Now we can hide the guidelines. We don't need to see those any longer. Don't get rid of them, just hide them. Now at this point, we need to take a look at our circles in here. So here's our first one. We put our new circle, we put that to the top right there. So this is the second one that we did, copy to. Notice how it's overlapping on top of this circle. What I want to have is I want to have this part down here come across the face, and I want to have this part back up here go hiding in behind the circle. And the way we do that is come down to our shape, hold the control key down, click on the sphere that selects that sphere, and then on this shape I'm going to erase whatever is in behind. Grab the eraser tool, and then it's going to ask you to rasterize that. That's fine, or simplify that. And then just erase right up there. So the front part is in front and the back part is now in behind. Okay, hide that one. Come to your next one right here. Same exact thing. Leave this part and erase this part. Having this selected, make sure that my erasing stays inside of that range. Okay, exact same thing on the next one. That's right here. Same thing. Leave the bottom, erase the top. And as you click on it, it's going to ask you to simplify this. Choose OK. Now be a little careful here so you don't erase the bottom line, only the top line. Okay, next one. Now this is the exact opposite. Now I want to erase the bottom and leave the top for the next set of these. So let's click down here. I'll ask you to simplify. That's fine. Erase the bottom. Just like that. Okay, next one. There we go. Same thing. Simplify and erase the bottom. There we go. Hide that. Next one, that's right here. Same exact thing. Simplify it, erase the bottom. There we go. And the last one is outside, so that doesn't matter. Okay, that's all taken care of. Let's go ahead and deselect. So we have our background, we have our rings, and we have gone in and painted them out so they look like they are going around the object. And then of course the full circle right there. So that's all of the animation taken care of. Now we need to come in and duplicate these layers, the background layer and the sphere layer. I'm going to leave these as separate layers on this. You could collapse these if you wanted to save a step, but I'll leave them as separate layers just for this demonstration. So grab the black, drag it up to the new layer button. That gives you a copy. You can see it right there. Drag that above the first circle. Grab your sphere, drag it up here, copy it, and drag that copy above that background. There we go. And just keep on doing that all the way up to the top. Background first, drag it up to there, so above that circle. Copy the sphere and drag it above the background. And continuing on up. So we're doing that. Looks good. That's our background original shape. That's fine where it is. And working on these. Duplicate the background and drag it above the circle, which is right here. Duplicate the sphere and above the background. Same thing, take our background, duplicate it, drag it above the sphere, which is right there. Grab the circle and drag that up, or the sphere rather, above the background. And just continue to work on up until we have all of these made. Need one more right there. Drag that up, and let's duplicate this. Drag that up. Okay, you now should have sets of 3. Ring, sphere, black. Ring, sphere, black. Ring, sphere, black. And I'll just check all that. Ring, sphere, black. Ring, sphere, black. Ring, sphere, black. Ring, sphere, black. And then our reference ring down below. Now we're going to be needing to get rid of this temporarily in just a minute. So what I do is I take the file at this point and I'll save this as a new file name. Let's do a file save. And I have a numbering mine up here. I'm going to call this one, let's call it GIF Animation 3. There we go, 3A. Give it a little number. Good enough. Let's now save this again, do a save as, and I'll call this one 3 merged. There we go. That way I can always go back to this state just by opening up that previous file. It just makes it easier to do it that way. Okay, now let's get rid of this background shape. That's our reference shape. Lose that one. And now let's make sure that all of these layers are showing. Of course, they're all hidden by those background layers. There's filled background layers. But make sure that all of the eyes are shown. And now simply work on down and merge each set of 3. Right-click, merge. We've already done this step, of course. Right-click, merge. Right-click and merge just off screen there. Right-click, merge, and just continue on down to have this finished. And the last 3. There we go. So there's the animation. Let's now take a look at this and see how this works. All right, File, Save for Web. Make sure you're on the GIF setting right there. Click on Animate. And then I'll leave this as is. Change the looping to forever and play. And there is that looping ring in there. It's just the ring spinning around that sphere. There we go. So we've built that animation. As you can see, pretty easy to do actually once you understand the process. If you clicked on Save, this would then save this as a repeating animation. If you want this to go faster, just change your delay down here. I'll put this at 0.1 and choose OK, and it spins faster. There we go. The faster it spins, the smoother it is. 0.1 is about as small as you want to go, though, on a GIF animation. So there's our nice little animated flipping ring. Okay, now, on that one animation I showed you, we had 3 rings flipping, not just this one ring that was flipping vertically. We can do that by adding in additional layers. At this point, I'm going to save this file. Save that. Get rid of that one. That's my original example. And let's bring up the one that we just saved. That's this one right here, 3A. There we are. And we'll zoom in 1 click. Now to make additional animations, you simply add additional layers in here. I'll just do 1 layer. I did 3 layers for my, or 3 rings rather, for my 1 ring demonstration. But I'll go ahead and I'll show you how to do 1 more ring so we don't take up too much time in here so you understand the process. Okay, let's come down here to our original ring. That's our original one down there. I'm going to hide the background layers on everything in here. And let's leave just that first one. And we'll move on up. And make sure the top's hidden. There we go. Okay, that's everything. And there's that. That's our original shape in the background right there. So here's the first sphere. I have that one temporarily hidden. Let's bring our guidelines back in again. Show the guides. There we are. Let's take this original sphere, original ring, copy this up to our new ring layer, pull that up here, and we'll hide that. So there's that new ring sitting on this surface. And here's the other one just for reference in there. Let's now make this one wider. I want to bring this out further. If I bring this background, you can see our grid line very easily now. I want to make this one larger. Notice we're halfway between these two. I'm going to pull this one out so it's halfway between those out here somewhere. How far you put it, that's really up to you. I'm just going out there just for this example. Hold the Shift key down so it comes out proportionally. And I'll pull it out halfway there and halfway out here. Looks pretty good. So there's the inner ring right there, and then here's the secondary ring. Inner ring is flipping vertically. Let's make this outer ring flip horizontally. It's going to be the exact same steps that we did before for all those rings. No difference at all. First thing I'll do is I'm going to make a copy of this one. There we go. Drag a copy down beneath. That gives me a copy of my larger rings. I have my copies to go back to if I need to. Okay, our first one here, we brought it in just a little bit, as you can see there. So I want to bring this one into the first guideline. We'll do this one sideways instead of up and down. And we'll take that one, copy that, drag it up here above into our next set. And same thing, let's pull this one into our guidelines. There we go. I'm going to hide those ones in the background. Here we go, green arrow or check mark. Let's hide this stuff. So that's this one. Same thing again, take this, drag it up here to your new layer button. Pull that up to our next set. Let's just show this set. Okay, on this one, I want to pull this into the inner lines again. There we go. And then we'll make another copy of this one, pull that up, and pull it above here. Let's just bring that in. And on this one, pull this into the middle. And then using the cursor keys, let's just get that centered. There we go. So we have here's our beginning set right there. This actually should be above that. I'll choose OK. My large rings above my outer rings, or smaller rings. There we go. So we have our set 1, set 2, set 3, set 4, then we need 5 and 6 and 7. So we have 3 to go. The last one is going to be our original circle shape. So on this one, because we're starting further out, I have an additional move in there. So we're only going to be doing our center thin one once on this one. We'll leave that one as is right there. So now let's come down one step to this one. Drag it up here to copy that, and then drag that layer up to here where you have only just these two. This has our third one right here. We want to drag this copy up to the next one that has just the 2, so now I have 3 up there. Okay, hide that one. Come down one more set right down here. Let's copy this one like that. Drag that up. This is going to be going clear up to the next one that only has 2 in it, which is right there. And the final one gets the full ring size, full circle. That's our one we saved way down here. So make a copy of that. There we go. Let's drag that clear to the top. Now this one step can get a little bit confusing. I understand that. So you may want to take careful notes when you're trying to think this one through. Okay, we now have our rings. I can now come through and show everything again. So everything is shown. The exact same steps we did for the first set. I just have this one set done sideways instead of up and down. And then don't show your last ones, these last two, these are both hidden. Okay, save your file at this point. File save. This is going to be 3B because it has our new sets in there. And I'll do a file save as, and I'll call this one 3B merged. There we go. We can hide those guidelines. And now we can collapse these, kind of clean this thing up. Let's make sure that everything is showing. Make sure you didn't miss anything in here. Okay, it looks good. Everything is showing. That's all fine. Let's get rid of these two. Don't forget that we just saved the file with those in there, so we can always go back to our saved file. Now we need to do our erasing step. We'll start from the top up here. This top set, that's fine. Since they're all outside, leave that alone. There we go. Here's our second set. Now on this one, we erase the bottom on that set for the inner ring. So let's erase the right side on the top one. Now come down here to your sphere, hold the control key down, click on that. That will give you your selection in there. Come back up here to your outer ring, the larger ring. Grab the eraser tool, and we're erasing on the right hand side. Go ahead, let it simplify, erasing the right hand side. Okay, let's hide those. And here's our next set, which is right here. Same thing, the outer ring, that's a larger ring, and you're erasing the right hand side. There we go. Okay, let's hide that one. Come down to our next shape down here. Same thing on this one. We're erasing the right hand side. Click, let it simplify. That's fine. Be careful on this so you don't go in too far and erase both of your lines. Just come in real carefully right there. Okay, that's good. Hide that. Down to our next set. This time we're erasing the bottom lines. Same thing, click, it's going to ask you to simplify, choose OK, make sure you're on the right layer, and then let's just erase that bottom line. In this case, the left side. Come on down. Next one, still erasing the left hand side, simplify, erase the left hand side, there it is. And that's going to probably be the end for us. Let's see. Okay, at that point it's outside, so it no longer matters. We're taken care of. Let's now deselect. And let's show our layers again. Make sure that all the layers are shown. Here we go. And let's work on up and get them all displayed. Do a double check on this, so kind of scroll down and double check. That looks good. Okay, we have all of that done. Now the last thing I want to do here is I wanted to just put some text down below here, so we have some text on these as well. So I'll just grab my type tool, which is right there. You know, see how that looks? That looks pretty good. Now the typeface I have here is called Gill Sans Ultra Bold Regular. It's kind of a fat typeface. And I'll just type in spinning rings and just put that right there. Now to have this on all of your frames, you'll have to duplicate this and put it right above all of those black layers. So let's just grab that up here and copy it and drag it down above that black layer. So it'll be black layer and type, just like that. Same thing. Drag it and copy it, pull it down to the next one. There we go. And let's work on down your stack until you have a type layer in front of each one of your black layers. There we go. And one more. There it is. And one more right down there. And let's just pull that on down. There we go. Okay, let's double check that. Make sure you have a type layer above each black layer. So that's good. That's good. And we'll scroll up. That one's good. 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 Scroll up. That's good. And that's it. Okay, if you wanted to have 3 rings like I had in one of my demos, I did that exact same thing for the third set. I did them like this. I did them the vertical way, and then I selected all of those ring layers, like that one and that one. So all those ring layers are selected, and then I simply rotated that by 45 degrees, giving me that diagonal. That's all I did on that. Okay, that's now all set to go. Now we need to merge these layers. Let's just deselect that. We need to merge our layers. So we're merging the 2 ring layers, the sphere, the type, and the black background. This will become one frame. Right click and merge layers. Same thing, just come right down to the black, right click, merge layers. Notice we have our text is showing on there. Right click, merge layers. There we go. And just work on down your stack this way until you have all of these sets merged. Now if it does that where you're not seeing it, just hide it and show it. I'm not really sure why Elements sometimes does that, but you can refresh that layer just by hiding it and then showing it again. Okay, our last stack right here. And there we go. So this is the animations. If I hide these, you can kind of see the animation happening now. Just like that. And let's show all these, and let's see how this animation works. So File, Save for Web. There it is. Make sure you're on the GIF setting up here. Click on Animate. I'll leave it at the 2-second or the 0.2 of a second frame delay. Choose OK. That's a slow rotation. That's just once through. You can see it right there. Let's change that to Forever and run. And there is that Forever animation, 2 rings spinning. Let's change this now to just 1/10 of a second. Be a faster rotation, and there we go. There is that spinning rings animation. And again, if you wanted to have more rings, just do the exact same thing which I did for another layer on your sets, and you can put in as many spinning rings as you want. Of course, this is just one way of one kind of animation to do, but the technique is the same. Okay, let's just cancel that. I'm going to bring that back up again, our recent file in here. That's the unmerged file, and there we go. So of course this is without the text on it, but we've seen how that's done. But this is the basic idea. You do a series of layers that have the elements that you want for each one of your frames of animation. If you want anything that's duplicated, like this sphere in here, you simply copy the layer and make a new layer and make a new set. So you have just the copies on those. Anything which has to change, you'll have to change on a per set basis. Then you simply take those and merge them together into one layer, and those layers become the frames of your animation, as we see right here. And that's it. That's really all there is to creating animated GIF files inside of Photoshop Elements. Okay, let's go ahead and do that final finish in here. File, Save for Web. We've already seen our settings. Animate, set it at 1/10 of a second. Looping forever. On the looping, by the way, you can set other times if you want to have a loop just a certain number of times, 3 times, 5 times, whatever. You can go ahead and set that. We'll do mine at forever. Play it to double check. Looks good. And then save. And it's going to save as the same name as your file. And choose Save. And there we go. Okay, I'm now going to pull up that animation and let's see how that looks. Now you can't play an animation inside of Photoshop Elements except inside of this Save for Web dialog box. This is the only place that you can look at your animation before you go ahead and finish it. So keep that in mind. Okay, let me just bring that file up. And there we go. It's inside of a web browser, as you can see. And there is the animation at the actual animation size. Okay, so that's how you create animated GIF files inside of Photoshop Elements. Thank you for watching this special Photoshop photography project video. Don't forget to subscribe so that you will get first notice of new project videos in the future. Just click on this link right here where it says subscribe here. You can get all 12 project videos in this series along with 26 special videos demonstrating the tools and techniques that I used in these projects by clicking on this link right down here. And then thank you again for watching this